All right, wonderful. Everyone, thank you for being here for day 2 of Get Ready for Fall Recruiting. Hearing from one of our wonderful colleagues from an organization that recruits here heavily at UVA in Virginia. I'm so excited. Victoria Suarez is here today to talk about LinkedIn. She's going to have some wonderful tips and advice from you from the recruiter perspective. So Victoria, I'll let you take it away and introduce yourself and then get going. And again, Francis and I will be sure to monitor the chat today.
Thanks, Heather. I really appreciate the invite. Francis as well. Thank you so much for inviting me. And of course, to our student participants, I really appreciate you being here. My name is Victoria, and I have about 17 hours of content for you. I'll do my best to distill that down. And I also want to be respectful that you probably came in the room today with some questions of your own. So please don't be shy. My goal is to answer your questions and to give you what you need so you get the most out of this platform. So if you find that I'm off in left field having a conversation, bring me back, toss it in the chat. They'll unmute you, or they'll ask me just to go ahead and answer your question right away. So my name is Victoria, and I want to tell you just a little bit about myself before I jump into LinkedIn. And the purpose of this is just so that you understand where I'm coming from and why I think I a little tiny bit know about LinkedIn. So for many years of my career, I was in career services. In fact, about 10 years of my career was in career services, working with students at a university in the state of Virginia who has the oldest population of students. So most of the people I was speaking to had some concerns and some worries about the fact that they had, for example, spent a long time raising a child, not a long time in the career workforce, or had spent time in the military, not so much working out in the world of work, in the corporate world, or anything in between, right? They went to college, they dropped out, now they're back 10 years later. So there's a lot of those concerns. And so we really learned to leverage this tool and help put students and alumni in front of employers and really make a splash. I've also owned my own business, and now I'm in the world of government contracting, and all day, every day, I'm on LinkedIn. And so this is the #1 tool that I use in order to find folks. And in fact, I just offered someone a job on Friday night, and I can tell you I got 200 applications, and I did not find her from an application. So no matter what cover letter people sent me, no matter what resume they sent me, I went on LinkedIn, and I found someone who was sitting at their house, wasn't looking for work, but I found them on LinkedIn, and I asked her, are you interested in having a conversation? And we often do that, just that. We use this platform to find folks, passive folks, or people that might not think that they're interested in changing jobs. So the point is that you often feel that you have to do all the work. This platform lets us, the recruiters, come find you, and we do some of the work. So we meet you in the middle. It's a super cool tool. It's so powerful, and we find that people use 2% of the functionality. They don't really understand what it's all about. And so that's what I want to do, is to help educate you. And again, thinking I'm coming from the world of career services, I have a special place in my heart for students who are just finishing up their career in college and saying, how am I going to be seen or heard or selected? And so I think that this particular tool does a great job of helping give you some power. So I'm going to show you everything that I know, and then I'm going to spend some time asking you, what else do you want to see? What didn't you see today? And we're going to give you some time to ask those questions. So let's get started. When I first conceptualized giving this presentation, I did so with my CEO. So my CEO actually is a UVA graduate. It just loves your university. And so one of the first things he always asks me when we're hiring folks is, did you find someone from UVA? Did we consider UVA grads? So just to let you know. So he has given his best advice for this presentation as well. So let's go ahead and move forward. So what are we going to do today? We're going to take a pop quiz. Ungraded, don't worry, we'll just give you some details. We're going to talk about branding and attraction, how we're using it on LinkedIn. And I keep looking over here because that's where my content's at. We're going to look at LinkedIn Recruiter. This is a super powerful, very expensive tool. I want you to see how it works so you can do a better job of putting your profiles together so that the recruiters can find you more easily. We're going to look at the CEO's approach, right? How is he using LinkedIn? So you know what matters to the C-suite and some of his VPs. And then we'll give you a recipe for success. What can you do on an average day on LinkedIn to make sure that you're connecting with folks, putting yourself out there, etc. So that's how you're going to spend the next little while with me. So this is my CEO. I have to start with him. His name is Gautam Azure. He went to master's school at Darden, and when he wrapped up, he launched his own company. It was a very small company that took some time to become successful. But what he thinks he did really well was leveraging LinkedIn in order to find folks. He believes this is one of the reasons he has really top talent. And so he wanted me to tell you that in order to help motivate you to stay on the tool, to stick with the tool, even if you have a day or a week or a month where nothing's happening, you just never know what might happen the next day. So this is a little bit about Gautam. And if you haven't already, I strongly suggest going on to LinkedIn and connecting with him. Let him know. I'm sitting in a session right now learning about LinkedIn. Would love to stay connected with you. Of course, that's me. So if you're not already familiar with me and my LinkedIn page, please, same thing. I'm going to drop the link in here in just a little bit, but connect with me, stay in touch with me. I have students writing me all the time. And if I have nothing for them, I'll say, I don't have anything yet, but soon. I actually use LinkedIn more than my own email. Your resume will get lost in my email, but on LinkedIn, the search functionality is great. I can find you anytime. So when you tell me, I'm graduating from UVA in 2 years, can we talk? All I have to do is go to my LinkedIn search and go and ask for UVA grads, and you all come right up. And I can go ahead and send out messages if I have something to say. Just super powerful. So please stay connected with me. Just one other thing about me, when I was getting out of college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I graduated pretty late. It took me 7 years to finish a 4-year degree. I was a first gen student. And so I did some business, like I launched my own business, very small, did a lot of stand-up comedy. So if you ever feel like, why does she seem a little bit jokey? It's because of that. I really wanted to be a comedian. So instead I do these presentations. My jokes weren't that funny. That's why I'm in business instead. So a little bit about me. Let's take this pop quiz. We're going to talk all day about LinkedIn. Let's at least make sure we know what platform we're talking about. Let's get a little bit of knowledge. So does anyone know what year LinkedIn was established? And if you think you know, you can shout it out. You can put it in the chat. Anybody? Was it last year? Was it 2 years ago? Anyone? I can't see anybody in the chat. Oh, Vivian, thank you. First one to answer. I'm going to give you some hints. I'll give you some years. Any of these years? Hey, thank you. We already have a right answer on screen. Yep, Cinco de Mayo, 2003. So yes, it was established in 2003. So for some of you that are thinking, I just started to hear about it, haven't heard about it recently, is this one of those fly-by-night places? No, it's actually a platform that's been around for a long time, 20 years. And it took a little while to catch on because that was still kind of in the infancy of the internet. But I can tell you that in 2016, Microsoft purchased it for a ridiculous amount of money. I don't know, $500 million or something. And ever since then, they've been infusing cash into it. And that's how they've really grown recently. So it's a tried and true platform. It's not going anywhere. Do you know how many people are on LinkedIn? How many total user accounts do they have? Any thoughts, guesses? Vivian, were you in my last session? There you go. You're answering right away. There you go. Yes, 900 million. 900 million people are on this platform. Now, I didn't say logging in daily. I didn't say they're on there all the time, but there are a lot of folks that are on LinkedIn. So it's definitely something that's very popular. However, I can tell you if you look at maybe some of the other places, some of the other social media channels, we know they're more popular because this is more for business, right? All right, where are all these users located? Any thoughts? Where do you think is the most popular place to be if you're a LinkedIn user? Which country is using it the most? USA? Anyone else? By far, USA. We are number one. So when it comes to using LinkedIn, we have, even though a smaller population than, for example, India or China, there are more US-based users than anywhere else. So it's really a platform for everyone, and you will get on there and meet people from across the world, especially a lot of people that are in this gig economy, like developers or some people doing things of that artist. You see a lot of them on LinkedIn, and they will reach out and talk to you. And for a reason I'll tell you in just a minute, you'll see why those international connections are so powerful. But yes, when people ask me, well, who all carries these accounts? Who am I going to really meet on there? Just want to say, overwhelmingly, it's a US-based crowd. And then the second to last question, how many people are actually logging in every month? So of all these users, who's actually going in to LinkedIn every month and actually participating and doing something? $310? 215, 310. Yeah, that's good, right? So if you have 900 million user base, you have a third of those folks are returning every single month. And doing something, right? Logging in once, doing something on LinkedIn. And I want to just give you a comparison. Again, I think 300 million people, that's a lot. However, if you look at the fact that Facebook says 3 billion people log in every month, or Snapchat gets 375 million per day. So, there's definitely more engagement there, but I'm not sure how many people are getting jobs on Snapchat. So LinkedIn is where we all go to try to find some business opportunities and some other things, which we're going to talk about now. And to those who have participated in the chat, thank you. That's the purpose of networking, engaging with me. To the person who already reached out on LinkedIn to me, right now I see something popping up. Thank you. That's exactly what's supposed to be happening. There are 6 audiences on LinkedIn. So again, I think we're talking today and you're like, I think I know who's using LinkedIn. I think I have a good sense of what's happening there. But who's actually on LinkedIn? What are they using it for? And so I'd like to hear from you. I don't want to move forward until you give me a couple of guesses. What's the purpose of being on LinkedIn? Which audiences are there? What are they doing? Who has a guess? And if you want to unmute, you want to type it. Vivian's right. One of the main primary groups are people that are seeking jobs. You're right. That's one of the 6. I think it's the one we think of most frequently. So you have job seekers, you have people that are trying to give away the jobs, right? Find somebody to fill these jobs. Those are the two of the 6. People or entities such as corporations, industry news, absolutely. Business partnerships or sales, yes. We're definitely getting to the big ones. These are some of the most popular. Yep, Laura, you're right. Job seekers. Expanding professional networks for a number of reasons, right? Yes, you're right. And this is all important because in just a minute, we're going to talk about how to use LinkedIn. But if you don't know who's there and who's engaging with you, what they might be wanting to do with you, doesn't make sense to move forward yet. Oh, Rachel, okay, high schoolers starting early. Yes. And so again, they're there as high schoolers, but what are they looking for? Possibly work, possibly other things, which let's take a look at the audiences that LinkedIn tells us are the most popular. Job seekers, several of you said that. Yes, someone looking for work. Sales or BD, people that write to me who say things such as, do you want to get in shape? Let's not even talk about that marketing message. But yes, they reach out to me. Do you want to buy our health and beauty products? Do you want to buy our weight loss products? People that want to sell me something, such as a vendor wants me to buy into Oracle education. Somebody that wants to sell me something. That's a huge contingency of folks. Recruiters, and someone here said it. So it's the job seekers, people looking for work, and people who are there who need to hire someone. That's what I do on LinkedIn all day. 4, and one of you just said it, what about people that want to expand their network or high schoolers? Knowledge seekers. Number 4, knowledge seekers. Does anyone know how a knowledge seeker might engage on LinkedIn? Do you already know this?
Oh, would they reach out to maybe researchers they want to work with? Like
reach out for research?
Yeah, like research opportunities.
Yeah, they might, for example, either want to give you their research or they might want to ask questions, right? For example, polls, or they might want to conduct research. That's one thing, right? People might ask questions in private messages. There's another way, though, that LinkedIn supports it. Yes, articles, journals, and LinkedIn Learning. Thank you. LinkedIn Learning is a huge component. A couple of years ago, LinkedIn made a gigantic purchase of a platform called lynda.com. Lynda had just hundreds and hundreds of videos, and that was rebranded as LinkedIn Learning. So people are now on LinkedIn seeking knowledge. So keep that in your mind as we move forward and we talk about how to engage. But thank you for unmuting and saying research, because that's a big part of it too. Marketing and branding. So I said sales and business development. Thank you for asking that question, Vivian. So yes, sales and business development, marketing and branding. So marketing and branding what? My company, or my art, or myself as a candidate, whatever it is, my cause. Right now, we have a big tragedy that just happened in Maui. So you'll have a lot of marketing around doing something philanthropic or helping out, right? So you have a lot of that. So I wouldn't call asking for donations necessarily sales. I would call it more marketing and branding around these causes. And C-suite folks, there is a huge contingency of folks that sit on LinkedIn, and these are people at the top of an organization who want to know what's happening. Because if I'm the CEO and I have to set the course for next year, I need to have a sense of what everyone's doing. And LinkedIn gives me full visibility into my competition, into my competition's staff, into their thought process, their thought leadership, their white papers. I can see it all on LinkedIn. So you can bet that the C-suite is there, the VPs are there. We're all, as you said, researching what's happening at other companies and also with our own companies. I can go on and see what people at my company are doing and get a pulse. Is this person going to leave? Do I need to maybe think about replacing them or having a sit down with them? So this is what people are doing on LinkedIn. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't spend some time giving you this information before I just said, hey, do X, Y, and Z and make your lives better on LinkedIn. This is really good information to start with. Oh, Heather, thank you. Yes, so what you have here is you have free access to LinkedIn Learning as a UVA student. I don't want to move forward without saying, if you come to me and ask for a job and I say, what have you been doing around SQL? You might say, well, you know, my teacher didn't teach me SQL. Okay, LinkedIn Learning has it for free. Did you sit through any of those courses? No. Initiative, taking some initiative. So this is something you can do, right? It doesn't replace having an SQL certification, but it shows that you're interested, curious, you take some initiative. So I would strongly advise getting on LinkedIn Learning and starting to go through it. All right, enough with the quiz. Let's move forward. This is a little bit about Alpha Omega. This will be in the slide deck. I'm going to send you the slide deck later, or I'll send it to Heather, and Heather, however you distribute it or make it available. But essentially, you can see one thing that Alpha Omega does in addition to LinkedIn, we have our UVA certificate program. So we are tightly coupled with UVA for events like this. We give a scholarship over at the UVA School of Continuing Professional Education. So we're coupled with them, but a huge part of our success, and our CEO, if he were here today, would tell you, has to do with LinkedIn engagement, research, learning, etc. We believe that our growth is fueled from all of the things that you see on this slide right now. We're publishing articles on LinkedIn. We're connecting on posts, client engagement. We're going out to our clients and talking to them on these posts, conducting lunch and learns. When we conduct a lunch and learn, we invite some of our employees together in a virtual space and we say, let's learn today about strategic leadership. How can I teach employees about strategic leadership? Easy. I can play a LinkedIn Learning video. So LinkedIn Learning helps me with my learning and development if I'm an employee at Alpha Omega. So something really cool to do. What if you're in a club or organization at UVA? You might say to yourself, what can we do at a club or organization this week? I can leverage LinkedIn Learning and I can show some videos and we can have conversations around it. So again, just something that you could do. You might put out a poll and ask about it. Hey, I'm the president of this club and I'm wanting to do some professional studies. There's a professional education. Which of these LinkedIn Learning courses would you recommend? And you can have people engaging with you. And then, so again, networking that way, but then also using LinkedIn for the actual education. So a lot going on LinkedIn. There's so much, it's more than an hour-long conversation, but there's a lot going on there. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to talk to you about the premier tool that LinkedIn uses. If I'm a recruiter and I find you on LinkedIn, I'm 90% sure I'm finding you through this LinkedIn platform called Recruiter. And so it's a back-end, very expensive tool that we use. And I did share this at the conference where I met Francis and Heather, and I just want to give you some sense of like, how much does my recruiting team have to use this? So for 4 seats, for 4 of us to use LinkedIn Recruiter all year and be able to advertise 5 jobs, it's $71,000. I can have access to Indeed all year for $1,000, just letting you know. $71,000 for this, for me and 3 of my recruiters to use it. So that gives you some idea of how much leadership believes in it and how much we need to be on it and showing ROI, return on investment. We need to be able to say, we found them on LinkedIn. That's what they want to hear in order to use it year after year. So LinkedIn's giving us a lot. It's a really cool tool, but if you've never seen it, then you don't know how to create your profile in order to make it work for you. I'm also aware that I talk a lot and I want to make sure there aren't any questions before I just hop into this tool. Is there anything before I move forward? Okay. I also want to make sure, can you see this? I want to make sure that you can actually see what LinkedIn looks like. Has everyone been on it before? Can you see my LinkedIn?
FYI, Victoria, I am seeing your LinkedIn on your browser, so just confirming that.
Perfect. Yes, I want to be able to see, I want you to be able to see this. So I just want to make sure it doesn't make sense for me to show you the back end of LinkedIn without first showing you the front end. So you can see that if I log into LinkedIn, this is what I see. I might have a whole lot more going on because I've been on it for a decade, but a couple of things. You as a student or soon to be graduate should definitely have your profile set up. So if you go into my profile, you can see what that might look like. I'm going to have some type of picture, of course. If you're open to work, so in my case, I'm hiring, so I have a hiring banner. If you're open to work, it should say that here. You're going to have maybe a picture in the background that talks about who you are or what you do, right? So if you're someone that's into engineering or someone that's into an identity or someone that's into fill in the blank, whatever it is, you can have something about yourself here. It gives me an indicator as to what's important to you. You'll talk about yourself and you'll start to fill in information. If you want to know about Victoria Suarez, you can come see my posts, my comments, my videos, etc. Here's one of my newest articles you can read that I wrote with a colleague. You can read all about me. This is way better than a resume in my mind because there's no word limit, right? Resume is a page, 2 pages. I can go on and on and on. If someone's willing to read it, they can find it here on my LinkedIn profile, which is why every resume should have the LinkedIn link at the top. Resume tells you some stuff, LinkedIn tells you the rest. And I can link with everything. I can tell my education, I can put my certifications, etc. I have a patent, my patent is here, everything, my recommendations. So people might say, do you need a reference? I don't need to give you a reference. Go check out what people are saying about me. It's on LinkedIn. So if you've never used it before, I strongly recommend populating this, even though it takes some time, even though it's not easy. Do this, and then what? Ask for feedback. Career Services is on with you. Ask for feedback. Send it to me. Hey, Victoria, I was in your presentation. You said I should try to make a really, good, engaging profile. How you like this? I'll look at it. I'll give you feedback. Ask around. This is the whole purpose of networking. I wouldn't be on LinkedIn if I didn't want to talk to you. And you really should come here and try to get a really strong profile. And we can talk at length about that, right? This presentation is not just for what is a strong profile, but just suffice to say, the more you tell me, the easier it is to find you, as I'm going to show you in a minute with that recruiter tool. Any questions about this? Because sometimes people go back and forth with me about this isn't effective, or someone told them something, they want to check it to see if I believe that what they were told was accurate. Interrupt me, ask me. I'm here for that.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Could you just go over like the general layout of what a LinkedIn profile should look like? Do you need to like be active on LinkedIn? Like, is it better to be active on LinkedIn, or is LinkedIn just stuff with your resume extended version? Like, what would be the way to format a LinkedIn profile? Just general overview of that, please.
For everyone on the call, thank you so much for asking. That's a really good question. This is not a static resume, right? So the resume, you might make it, drop it in someone's inbox, and you never go back again, right? You're not going to call them and say like, oh, I changed something, yesterday. Although you might, but I'm saying this changes all the time. If I take a new class, like there's a section on here for uploading about classes or education. Did you see the education part? Sorry, mine's so big, I can't. So because we're talking to college students, right? So here it is. When I went to college, I included, for example, my GPA or some of my research interests. If you scroll down, you can actually get to my master's thesis is linked here. I took a couple of classes over at the community college recently. I put those on there. So if I'm in college and I take another class, I would include that here. If I did a research paper, I might include that here. If I joined a club or organization, I would include that here. If I was in a club or organization and I pulled off an event, a fundraising event, if I had some metrics such as, signed up 20 more people, we grew the club by 10%, that would be on your LinkedIn profile. Because I can find it, I can read about it. The other thing I can do is I can share it. So I'm just going to use, I know Francis, I know we're connected on here. Here you are. So I'm just going to say, like, let's say, for example, for some reason, I'm like, oh, Francis, I really want to, I forgot to tell my boss about her, but I want to send this over. I can send the message or I can forward it. Oh, I can just forward it just like this. I can just grab it, her profile, and I can send it on. And that's what we do all day. I would say every week I get 100 new profiles from my leadership team who found someone that they want me to talk to. So I would say keep it up to date. Be in here a lot. And since I have Heather, I'm just going to pick on you since you're right here in my view. But what would be here, of course, your name. This is one of my first contacts. And then, of course, a headline. Who are you? What are you all about? This is the first thing I'm going to see about you. So are you an engineer? Are you a passionate DEI advocate? Who are you? Tell me in a couple sentences. I love the emojis. I'm all about the emojis. It catches your eye. I don't think it's like a deal breaker, but it's just something nice to put. And then if you're in any groups, the about section, super important. I can search all of this in LinkedIn Recruiter. I'm going to get this about you in LinkedIn Recruiter. So the keyword search, it's pulling from here. So tell me who you are. I might not even ask for your resume. That's what I do all day. I look at this and I say, do I want to see their resume now? So that's how we all do it, right? Because I've already paid, as I just told you, $71,000 to see this. So please populate it, tell us everything. You said, what does it look like if it's good? There's activity. I can see whether or not you're active. And by the way, if you're not active, if you haven't posted, if you haven't liked or commented recently, that is shown. Recruiters see, hasn't done anything recently. My thought, you're probably not going to answer me. Let me move on to the next student. Experience, here, everything is here, linking to the university, telling me about yourself. What else have you done? Where else have you volunteered? Skills. You can do skills, but people can endorse you for skills. See, I can endorse her. Oh yeah, she sent me that Excel spreadsheet. She's really good at this. I can endorse her for skills. And you might ask your friends or colleagues, can you endorse me? I'll endorse you. That way we feel a little more comfortable that this person didn't just make it up. You, of course, have recommendations and then any interest. So what is it that you do in your free time? What business interest or engineering interest do you have? That can be listed here for you. So the more the better. It's better for us. We know more about you. But all this is important because I'm about to go into LinkedIn Recruiter, and that's an important piece of this. So you see over here, I have a LinkedIn Recruiter. You won't see that unless you have a LinkedIn Recruiter account. But I want to show you how it works, and I want a volunteer from the room. I want to try to find somebody in this room on LinkedIn Recruiter. Does anyone want to be my volunteer? We're going to see if we can find you, if a recruiter can find you. Okay, Vivian, thank you. All right. So you're at UVA, am I correct? Tell me what year, perfect. What year are you going to graduate?
June 2027, I think.
Okay, I'm just going to put a little range here. So these are all the filters, super advanced filters to find people. So let's say I need someone that's going to start, someone I need to hire. I'm looking for Vivian or someone just like Vivian. So I'm going to say I'm going to have a narrow graduation window for people at UVA. All right. And what companies have you worked at, Vivian?
I haven't worked at any companies yet.
Not yet? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Let me just make sure it held your graduation year in here. I didn't update it. That was my fault. Okay. Hey, do you have any skills on your LinkedIn profile?
I
think
the
I
first
put
one.
Python, Java.
You did?
Python.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
Python,
okay.
Java, C++.
Okay, I want to make sure I'm explaining what I'm doing here. So what I'm doing is I'm looking to narrow down. If you didn't see in the beginning, there's like 100 million people, and I'm trying to narrow this down. A human recruiter can't look at right now 2,000 people. That's what I'm seeing, 2,000 people. And so what I'm trying to do is find Vivian or someone like her. So if I go to the University of Virginia, people graduating in this year who have the words Python and Java on their LinkedIn, I'm still coming up with 2,000 people. I'm not going to find you, Vivian. What else can I be looking for to find you?
My school of graduation, Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology.
Okay. Let's see, that's there. Thomas Jefferson High School. There you go. All right, let's see if we're going to find you. Oh, that's going to give me even more. Let's see, Java software development, 1. Let's see. This is the way the algorithm works. Let's see. Oh, it's too few. It's too few. Why did it give me this? Give me an error. It's giving me an error. Why? This happened yesterday. I think this happened during my actual presentation with you guys, Heather.
There was something that froze that day, but you were able to show us some numbers. And we actually do have a related question in the chat.
Yeah, go ahead, go for it. Because I really want to find somebody, see if I can find somebody on here.
So are you saying that in the recruiter keyword search, you can actually search just the about section in addition to our listed skills and work and experience?
It pulls from everything. It's
Okay.
pulling from everything. So as an example, when I just said, for because my CEO asked me, are there any UVA grads? So I just came in here and said, show me who are the UVA grads. It comes back with there's 200,000. So I have to narrow down. So once I start narrowing it down, like for example, I'm guessing most folks on this call are still in school, going to finish up soon. So let's say that we're going to finish up in the next couple of years. Here's my update. 15,000 people are set to graduate in the next 3 years. Okay, so I'm going to look for maybe something else. I was in people that say they want. Oh, no, it's not good. That's not a good one. Employment type. What's the zip code down there at UVA?
22904.
What is it?
That's actually for the university itself, 22904. So
Okay.
we might even try to put in, there we go.
Yeah, I said within 100 miles, but we'll see. What any 8,000 people. 8,000. Why? It's so much. So you can, here's the point that I'm making. I make the point every time it gives me an error. Yesterday I was trying this out so this very thing wouldn't happen. Without detail, I can't find you. And once I start entering details, I'm going to exclude you. So if you know Java, but you didn't tell me on there, I'm going to exclude you. So if you took a class and you learned a little bit about Java, you didn't tell me I'm the best Java developer of all time. No one knows better than me. You just said I've been exposed to it. I've seen it. I've opened up the IDE. I've used it a little bit. And the fact that you've included Java includes you in my search. So that is the purpose of me showing you the back end. But something really important, I do need to show you this because this is pretty critical.
And there were a couple other things too that I thought were really, yes, fascinating. The open to work and then the how responsive you are to messages.
Yes. But I need to show you something because people were asking questions earlier and this is about to load and this is what's really important. Open to work. So remember earlier I said, I have a hiring banner on, but you could have the open to work banner on. Why would I want to bother with somebody who doesn't say they're open to work? I have to beg them. Are they interested? Maybe they're not. It's a whole different convincing situation. I'd rather work with people who want to work with me. So click open to work. And then if you'd like, we can go over and look at it. But when you click open to work, you don't have to have the green banner on. It gives you the option, put it on or not. Either way, you'll appear in my search because you've indicated that you're open to work. So it doesn't have to be visible to your employer. It could be something that's hidden in the background and that's visible to recruiters. Also, active. Who on here said, do I have to really get in there and do anything? Do you see what it says at the top? Candidates who have shared an update I'm looking, I'm in times of crisis because of a layoff. So once you start using those words and once you get in here and start updating, these are my active folks. So some people said they're open to work, but 100,000 of them haven't been back. These folks have been back recently. This is also very important. Do you see interested in my company? This is someone who has liked the Alpha Omega page or followed the Alpha Omega page. So I can go here first, open to work, interested in my page. Those are the people I'm going to go looking at first. It's the smaller amount of folks and people that have already heard of us. So I don't have to start at the beginning of a conversation of, do you know who we are? You might like working with us. So instead, I can go to people that say they're interested in me. So if you want to work at fill in the blank company, go like their LinkedIn page. The recruiters will find you faster. Okay, sorry. And I think we did answer the question about the about section. Okay. Yeah, and I think what it is I figured out the issue is that I have to actually put in a job title. So that is something. What I'll usually put in maybe is like intern to see if someone has been an intern. A lot of times that gives me what I'm looking for. Did most folks on this call get a chance to be an intern?
I would imagine quite a few have.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm giving guesses.
Good. I want to talk about that for a second. When I'm looking in LinkedIn Recruiter, I often, and my colleagues do the same, if we're looking for like 0 to 2 years of experience, we're going to type in intern and look for people that have intern on their background. And we might be looking for a school or some other skills. But you might say to yourself, yeah, but you know, Victoria, I wasn't paid for my internship. I did this work for 4 or 8 weeks or something. LinkedIn doesn't tell me that. It just includes you in the search. That's irrelevant to me. If you were an intern because you did a free experience, a paid experience, if there was academic credit or not, it's all irrelevant to me. You will still populate in my search. So if you did something, a volunteer / internship, talk to your supervisor there, your volunteer supervisor, and say, it really felt like more of an internship to me. I'm going to list it as such. You know, have that transparent conversation and make sure there was a learning outcome. That's what the difference is. There's a learning outcome. You grew, you changed, you developed. That's what usually makes this an internship. Talk with career services. I think this is good advice, but intern is something that's telling us you're someone new in the job market, looking to grow, and you're a part of my search then. Any questions about how this works? And I can drill down. Do you guys see how many different things there are? There's all kinds, years in the field, military vets, which companies have you been at? So I might even say like, oh, Charlottesville, I know they're hiring a lot of, there's a big Amazon, I don't know, I'm not sure, down there. So I'm gonna look for people that are at Amazon first, show that to me. And then I'm gonna get my results. So there's a ton of filters here, but the more information that's on LinkedIn, the easier it will become to find you.
Victoria, I have a question.
Yeah.
On your resume, sometimes people talk about infusing keywords appropriately throughout the document. You know, maybe there is some software looking, and if you mention Python multiple times versus just once, that might be picked up. I'm curious if a student was to list a class with Python, but then also Python and skills, but then Python in their bullet points. Does listing it in multiple places help you at all on your end, or does it just help them be found if it's mentioned once?
I'm so happy you asked this question. And this is like somewhat general career advice, right? So there's the LinkedIn recruiter piece, and then there's as a recruiter, as an actual recruiter, what do I think? If you have, like, for example, let's say cybersecurity, I hire a lot of cybersecurity from down your way. People will say, I want to be a cybersecurity analyst. I will do a Control F and look in the document. How many times does cyber appear? If it's once, I'm not sure you know enough cyber to be here. So I need to see it was either taught in a lot of classes, you've read a lot about it, you wrote a lot about it. For LinkedIn specifically, the number of instances on the profile doesn't matter to me, but in a resume, it absolutely does. Or on your profile, I might go looking and seeing how much cyber do you know? What kind of cyber experiences have you had? So the more the merrier, the better I'll feel about putting you in front of the VP of Cyber.
I had another question too, that popped up when we met with you at that conference.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the filters in Recruiter, and maybe it went to the active, who's been active, but was there a separate search for figuring out how responsive people are to messages? I know you were encouraged attendees to always respond to a message, even if you aren't interested.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. There is a platform, and you know what happened, guys, is I actually gave this platform to my recruiter because there's a big job search going on. So I deactivated mine and gave it to somebody else to use. So I don't recall off the top of my head where that's listed on the back end, but to answer your question, yes, we can see how responsive people are. And it sometimes categorizes people by that. The other question that's important is this. If I write a message to you and you're not interested in whatever I'm asking you, if you just say no, thank you, I get my credit back. So that means like every month I have 300 outgoing messages, but all you need to do is say something to me in order for me to get the credit back. Does that make sense? So that now I can use that credit elsewhere, but it does something else. It links us to talk to each other. So the next time me as a candidate wants something from you, the recruiter, I can reach back out. We can reach out to each other without being charged in the future. So sometimes folks will say, I need to reach out to people, but I don't have a lot of in-mail messages. Answer everyone's message because you don't know if you might want to talk to them in the future. And by answering them, it becomes a free message.
Great.
And to answer your question, yes, there are filters inside LinkedIn Recruiter that tells us these people don't generally respond or they're slow to respond. And there's also on Indeed. I was on Indeed showing you Indeed too. That same thing there, it'll tell us whether or not people are responsive.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I know that, that kind of goes both ways. Students sometimes say they might not hear from people they reach out to, but I also want to encourage everyone here today to be responsive to message you're sent, even if they're not maybe something you're pursuing at this moment. Victoria, looking back at Recruiter, I know you had that filtered list that you were showing us originally where it broke down by who's active.
Yeah,
Um,
let me bring that back up.
Great, we had a question. Can you please just let us know again or repeat who is included in that active people? Do you mean only those who made a post, or is it the people who blogged in or liked a post? Like, what did active mean? What do you have to do to be active?
Comment, like, log. It's not just log in. Comment or like. It's an engagement. You have to engage. So you have to actually, if you're not familiar with it, whenever someone makes a post, going into the post and writing something, liking it, commenting it, which is actually where I was going next with this presentation, because it's pretty important. A couple of things. When I talk to students, they say, Victoria, I hear you. I hear what you're saying about LinkedIn, but it doesn't work for me. I've tried. It doesn't work. And so I want to address that. When you say it doesn't work, my question is, what have you been doing on it? First thing is, at the bottom of every post, and let's just go check this out together. Yeah, and I apologize, my everything over here is moving very slow today. So let's say, I'm going to go to Alpha Omega's page, because that's actually going to show you who's doing what. Omega. And you're going to see 3 types of engagement. Does everyone know what the 3 types of engagement would be on LinkedIn when you're engaging with someone's post? So you're going to see it here. There's 3 types of engagement. 1, like. You can either like or heart or clap, right? So that's the first type of engagement that you can give. That would count as being active. But that's also the easiest. If you just like or comment or clap, that's fine. That's good. It's not bad. It's just not everything you could do. The second thing you could do is give a comment. And so I'll tell you, if you're my CEO, Gotham Azure, I'm telling you, he's going to go see who these 4 comments are. He's going to open it up and see who are these people. And so if one of the people is you, then he's going to see your name, and he's going to see, as I see right here, this person's not connected to me yet. Me, Victoria, I'm seeing this person's not connected to me yet. I want to ask them to connect. So I see your name. I see this little tagline, right? We showed earlier what the tagline is. So I can see a little bit about this person. And then I can ask them to connect, because I can see their connection. They're a second level connection. But there's something else I can do. Because again, commenting is also really good, way better than just liking. What's the third thing that I can do to engage on LinkedIn with a post?
Post it?
You got it. Repost it. That is critical. That is so important. And let me tell you, did you just notice when I scroll down, I see comments, no repost. I see comment, no repost. I see 1 repost, 1 repost. And you can bet if the CEO cares about who made a comment, they care even more about who reposted it. And why is that so important? It's part of marketing and branding. More people, whoever reposted it, is sharing it with their network. And it's an engagement metric. It tells us people care about this because they're beginning to repost it. But they want to know, who is it that's reposting? Because it's not just a repost. Often it's repost with comments. So did you ever click it? Repost with your thoughts. Then I get to say something about it. And by the way, I could tag the company. I could tag the CEO. I could tag Michelle Trexel when I make that the repost. So now I'm starting to expand my network, and people are starting to know who I am. So even though you might not have much to say, you might think, what would I possibly say on LinkedIn? It doesn't work. Well, that's easy enough. I like this company. This is great. The woman has a job. She's really talented. I see her resume because I can go check out her whole profile. I can repost it, and I can engage with her. I can engage with the company. And that just makes it easier for you. Again, with LinkedIn Recruiter, I can see who's been helping. I can see who's been engaged with our content. But also the C-suite is going to know who you are, because they're starting to see you repost and comment on what we have going on. And if you think, oh, Victoria, that's not really that big of a deal, wrong. Your name will come up. They will talk about you. Now, of course, maybe at Google, it's such a humongous company. They might not be talking about everyone that comments on their post. But for smaller firms, it really does make a splash. It's really important. So those are 3 of the ways that you can engage. Comment. Yes, thank you. You're right, Heather. People, we will say something. We'll, at a minimum, we'll reach out to you. Hey, join our network. I saw you said something. Come be a part of our network. So they're going to reach out to you. The other thing is, there's other ways that you can engage on LinkedIn besides liking, reposting, and commenting. And someone said it earlier. I want to call to their attention again. Articles. You can write an article and post it on LinkedIn. Why does that matter? And by the way, I think you're busy, right? I'm in school, I'm busy. How am I going to have time to write an article? In fact, you've already done it. You've already written. Did anyone in here write anything for a class last semester? Did you have to turn in a paper at all? The semester before that, maybe? That's an example of an article. You don't take a 20-page paper, you look at the whole thing and you say, I'm going to take out this page, or I'm going to combine page 1 and page 3 and make it into a little article and put it on LinkedIn. And now you have some content. Yes, absolutely. I'll do that next. So this is an example of you creating content. And then what do you do with an article once you have it? Of course, you put it on your page. You might also share it with somebody. I'm a recruiter. People reach out to me all the time and say, Victoria, can you help me? Do you have a job for me? I need help. How many people reach out to me and say, hey, Victoria, I'm studying about machine learning in school. Thought you might find my article interesting. Hey, Victoria, I saw this article. I used it to write a paper. I wanted to share it with you. I thought you might find it interesting since you recruit data analyst. So you can actually reach out to me and share materials with me. You don't always have to only reach out to recruiters and ask them for help. Many of you young, or you're in school learning new information. I've been out of school for 10 years. So if you reach out to me and give me something new, I might end up posting about it. I might end up learning something new, calling your name out in a meeting and saying the student sent this over to me is pretty cool. So feel free that if you have access to materials and access to new information and all these classes you're paying for, maybe don't just let that sit in your head, reach out and share it with your LinkedIn network, which is also a really good time to talk about connections. I want to go up to my page. We'll go back to my page and see. Someone asked, what's a first, second, and third level connection? First connection is anyone that's reached out and asked to connect with me. So if you go to my page, I can see that I have 500 plus connections. It ends at 500. They won't show you how many you have after this, but I can see all my first level connections. So if I want to, I can actually tell them, I need to find everyone that's my first level connection, show results. I see them here. So we have a direct one-to-one. They've asked me to connect, or I've asked them to connect. We've both agreed. A second level connection is someone that is connected to someone that I'm connected to. So that's going to give me, as you see, about 1 million results. People that are connected to the people I'm connected to. So every time I connect to one person, my second level connections explode. And then my third level connection, that's just people on LinkedIn. They're not connected to me. They're not connected to anyone I'm connected to. They're third level connections. So those are people I'm still waiting to get in connection with. But the pretty cool thing is oftentimes if you reach out to a third level connection, someone might say like, who is this person? I don't know who they are. But if you're second level, they'll say, oh, they know someone I know. I feel a little bit more comfortable with them. So it makes the person, again, it gives you visibility. You're actually gonna be able to find those pretty quickly because otherwise it's the entire LinkedIn network. But also with your second connections, folks feel a little bit better about making that connection with you. And by the way, if you're a first level connection, the benefit is I can message this person directly anytime without any fee. So some folks ask me, should they get a premium connection? Should they do the premium level of subscription? Well, if someone is your direct connection, you don't need that. You can just go ahead and connect with them directly. The other thing you can do, and let's just take a peek at third level connections. Let's say I want to connect with this person. Make sure you're always doing this. So I can connect with this individual. It's going to ask me if I want to add a note. You might have seen this before, and I have 300 characters to add a note. You know, hello, I'm Victoria. I'm recruiting for this open role. Thought you might make a match, or expanding my network. I'm also an engineer. Thought we could maybe connect and share insights. And then that person will get that private invitation from me, and we'll be able to go back and forth.
That's what I did when it's Heather. That's what I did when I first met Victoria. I don't even think it was the end of our presentation. I already knew I wanted to invite her to speak with you all. And so I connected with Victoria, but I also clicked add a note. And I just said, hi, Victoria. I'm also at the VASE conference. I'm, learning so much from your LinkedIn presentation. I'd love to stay connected. And what I like about adding the note is when Victoria goes back to those messages that we've been sharing, if she forgot, like, wait, how do I know Heather again? She can scroll back to the very top of our message thread and see that first note that I added to her.
Actually, Heather, I was going to tell you, just recently, my CEO had said, probably about 6 weeks ago, hey, I want to hire an intern with XYZ abilities and skills, the first thing I did was come to you can see my messages on screen, and I just typed in intern or internship, and all of a sudden everything came like full. Everyone that's ever told me they're interested populated, and I just started shooting off the same message. Hey, still looking, I want to talk to you. And I had a bunch of folks that I connected with that way. If I go to my email, there's 800,000 emails. I'll never find you. So I love being on LinkedIn with folks.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. The other thing is anytime, if you're my first direct connection, anytime I post something, you're going to see it. It's going to be in your feed. And if I have a new job or an internship, I'm going to tell you there first. And then you can go ahead and just connect with me and we can chit chat about it. So, this is just a little bit about it. Like I said, LinkedIn is such a big beast, but I just wanted to, again, advocate for a few things. And it's because I know we're getting to the end of the time, so I don't want to forget, but the takeaways are commenting on posts and articles. I know that students will tell me, because again, I was 10 years in career services, I have nothing to say. What could a recruiter or a CEO possibly care about what I have to say? Again, you're paying for an education. You're in school right now. You're learning right now the cutting edge technologies, thoughts. You have access to some of the most brilliant faculty members. We're disconnected from school right now. And all of us love school. That's what, we got to where we're at because we're in university. So I would say if you learned something, if you heard something, tell me. I want to know about it. So reach out, tell us about that. This reminds me of something that I learned about last week in class. Here's the article we're reading. I'd love to tell you more. Love to have lunch with you and tell you more about what we heard in Dr. So-and-so's class. Ask for that invitation. You'd be surprised how many people actually want to hear about it. So how can you engage? Commenting, creating an article, co-authoring an article, recycling a paper into an article, connecting with people, making introductions. This one is never done. But when someone says, I'm looking for a job, oh, really? They're hiring at UVA. Here, let me connect you with so-and-so person and this person who's looking, and you make a connection, a public connection or a private connection. It doesn't matter. But you can help people. That's what we're doing on the network, is connecting folks. Saying you're open to work makes it easier for me to find you. And then, of course, don't just connect. Always include a message. Let me know what it is you need. So many people just connect and I'm like, who are you? I'm having to guess. But if I get 14 or 15 connections a day, I don't have time to guess what everyone wants. So just tell me.
Victoria, would you have a moment to show everyone how to find that open to work setting?
Yes, that's good. I know I'm hopping around like bananas.
No,
here, so
I actually had to find it myself the other day just so I could educate myself, because since I'm not looking, I didn't want to turn that on, but I also wanted to know how to show my students.
Yep. So can you see right here in this main section, it says open to right here. If you click it, it says providing service. Now, again, if you're an artist or maybe you're a musician and you want to play weddings or something, you might be providing a service. But if you're here for a job, find a new job. When you click it, you see earlier there was a setting, right? Remember earlier in the LinkedIn area, there was a setting that said hybrid, remote, on-site, whatever. You can tell me. And that's how I find you in the LinkedIn recruiter section. What kind of jobs are you open to? What locations? How soon do you want to work? And by the way, this is super important. Do you want everyone to see that you're open to work? That's when the green banner comes up. Or recruiters only. So people that pay that fee, we get to see that you're open to work. So you might not want your colleagues at work to talk about it. Maybe your job might see it, so you might be a little nervous. So you could just say, here, we guarantee, there it is. We can't guarantee complete privacy, but they do their best to mask so that no one really finds out that you're there, right? And it's certainly not public facing. So you can see their disclaimer and you can learn more about the privacy, but that's how you set the open to work. Strongly recommend, if you're someone, even if you're not looking today, if you're looking in the future, students get hung up on this. I'm not looking for 2 weeks. I'm not looking for 6 weeks. Believe me, we're looking now for next year anyway. So it's fine. You can let us know now that you're open.
Fantastic. Thank you. With our last few minutes, I'm curious, are there any questions about the recruiter view that Victoria showed us, elements of your profile, or even just other questions about LinkedIn and using it effectively, especially having a recruiter right here with us? Yes, I see someone's raising their hand. Go ahead, take yourself off of mute. Let's see if I can get it. Try to find your name. you able to ask your question? Yeah, and you can raise your hands, or again, I'm pulling them up, but it's not working. Please feel free to take yourselves off of mute or pop it in the chat as well.
So I was just wondering, I saw online something about scam recruiters on LinkedIn. Like, how can we just, what are some tips for telling if a job offer is legit or not? Like, because there's some.
Sure. No, that's a good question. So a couple of things. I used to actually work at a university, and that was like one of my number one things was to stop within, like, we were using Handshake and stop employers from getting to them or any type of scams or something. I'll tell you what I told my students. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. Usually, if I reach out to you and say, I have this great job opportunity, blah, 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 the response is, where's the link to the job? The job should be on your company website. So I should be able to provide that for you. By the way, if you're at all unsure, pick up the phone, call the company. Does, Bob Smith, is he one of your recruiters? No, thank you. Or the other thing too is you will find me connected, right? You will find that I am saying I work at Alpha Omega. You'll find me right here and I'm connected. You'll see me engaging with the Alpha Omega post. So that gives you assurance that I'm a real person. The other thing too is if someone has, like, I'm a recruiter, my only job is to find people and talk to you and make a connection. If I have 1 connection, 2 followers, that's a big issue. But the number one thing is it a real job? I'm not paying $50 an hour to type some papers. That's not right. That's not a correct job. Or if I tell you don't need to interview, that's wrong. Everybody needs to interview. So sometimes you have to just use your judgment. And even though we get really hopeful and excited, just stop and call the company. I will never say you're not allowed to work here because you checked on me.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and that unfortunately does happen. And really, they take advantage of college students. I don't know if it's because you guys are very busy or whatever, or just new to the world of work. But if you're feeling like maybe this is something, it's okay. Just double check it always.
It's a great question here, Victoria, wondering how many LinkedIn recruiters use the recruiting service. Is there any kind of data that you know?
I would say I've spoken to them, and 2-3 years ago, they might have only charged us $50,000. And the fact that they've increased by 50%, it's because there's such a demand. They don't want us writing to you guys all the time because so many people are using it. The large companies, like if you're talking about like Deloitte, Accenture, all them, everybody's got it. Every single recruiter, all 100 or 200 or 300 of them, they all have their seat. They all have their spot. It is the most popular tool, because it gives us full visibility and we can engage with you all night long. People are writing us back in the middle of the night. We're writing them back. I would say 100,000 recruiters easily are on here.
Great, wonderful, thank you.
Even if I don't have LinkedIn Recruiter, every recruiter is still on here. We could only pay like $2,500 a year and still have access, just limited access. We would pay nothing and still have access. We would just, again, have very limited access. So everyone's using it.
Perfect. Yeah, that seems like that clears that up. I'm sure a few of you still have questions, but it seems like Victoria has invited you all to connect with her and ask her any questions that you might have. Of course, you're welcome to ask me and Francis. And Victoria, it looks like you might have had, oh, there we go. Victoria has just popped her direct link to her profile in the chat. So again, connect with her if you would like, and please use that add a note feature so she knows that you are here today. Again, students, reach out to us. Let us know how we can be a resource for you. And Victoria, I want to thank you again for all of your time and wisdom and nuggets and insights today. It's never been possible before for us to be able to share with students what LinkedIn Recruiter looks like. So I think that it's so invaluable for you to share that beyond just a screenshot online, and to share all of your wisdom from your time as a career advisor and now working on the recruiting side of the house.
So happy for it. Yeah. Have a great school year, everybody. And please don't be a stranger. Reach out to me. Let's connect. Let's keep the conversation going.
All right. Thank you, everyone. You'll continue to hear from us throughout the week. Have a great day.